some of our foods have nanoparticles in them. Should we be worried? I don't care what the scientists are going to say, I would be worried. That's not at all natural. This is on The Conversation. It's written by Emma Beckett and Susan Hua. Emma Beckett is Food Science and Human Nutrition School of Environment and Life Science, University of Newcastle. And Susan Hua is Associate Professor, School of Biomedical Sciences, University of Newcastle. This is on The Conversation. We choose to spend money on household items based on how they look, feel, taste, and how we think they might make our lives better. Manufacturers apply nanotechnology, a field of technology that makes use of effects that happen at the nanoscale, to create the properties we want in such items. For example, whiteness in toothpaste, or preventing growth of bacteria in socks. 1 nanometer is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. Chemical and physical interactions at the nanoscale are way smaller than our eyes can see. Medicines, tiny sensors, fast computers, and food science are all ways we can put nanotechnology to use. But some people are concerned nanoparticles may present health risks. Recently, France announced 1 nanoscale food additive will be banned from 2020 onwards due to a lack of evidence about its safety. Here's what we know about nanotechnology in food. So what are nanoparticles? Nanoparticles are extremely tiny particles. Their external dimensions are smaller than 100 nanometers, or 0.0001 of a millimeter, and that's pretty tiny. Not all nanoparticles are the same. They can be made of all kinds of different things, metals like gold and silver, carbon or even clay, and can have different structures and chemistry. These properties ultimately determine how the nanoparticles behave, their functions, and whether or not they are safe. Nanoparticles occur naturally and can also be manufactured. Naturally occurring nanoparticles can be found in ash, waterways, fine sand, and dust, and even biological matter like viruses. When used in medicine, technology, or science, nanoparticles are typically manufactured to better control their properties. The benefits of nanoparticles come from their extremely small size. For example, materials can be made stronger, lighter, or better electrical conductors. In medicine, nanoparticles can be manufactured to get into difficult-to-reach places in the body. This is useful in the treatment or diagnosis of diseases such as cancer and infections. But sometimes nanoparticles which you did not intend to ingest get into the body, or small amounts are consumed in products. This leaves some people asking how we know they are safe. Nanoparticles occur naturally in foods. Firstly, nanoparticles in foods are not new. Nano-sized particles occur naturally in some foods. A good example is milk. Casein micelles in milk are nano-sized spheres made of proteins. By naturally coming together this way, the nutrients in the micelles are more available for us to absorb. In addition to milk, it's also possible for some food ingredients to naturally assemble into nanoparticle-sized units such as micelles. And during ingestion, our bodies use the bile that comes from our gallbladder to nanofabricate the fats we eat into micelles so we can absorb them. Micelles are also fats to be mixed more effectively into water. We create micelles when we wash the dishes using detergents. Nanoparticles can be created during food processing, such as in homogenization, emulsification, and milling and grinding. They're also shed from metallic cutlery and other cooking instruments over time. Nanoparticles are in some additives. Common additives like titanium dioxide, a whitening agent, and silicon dioxide, an anti-caking agent, can contain nanoparticles. This is because they're added as powders, and some of the powder particles will be nano-sized. These ingredients only make up a small percentage of foods, and only a small fraction of them are actually nano-sized. Titanium dioxide recently made headlines because a study showed it had an effect on bacteria in the guts of mice. This sounds crazy, but the effects were seen when mice were given a big dose, about 50 milligrams per kilogram of body weight each day. This is 50 to 25 times the estimated exposure in humans. It was added to their drinking water, so there was no food around for the particles to bind through digestion, as in the case when we eat products with nanoparticles in them. 2 reviews commissioned by Food Standards Australia and New Zealand in 2015 found current evidence that nanoparticles of titanium dioxide and silicon dioxide are not absorbed better than micro-sized particles, that is, particles 1,000 times the size, and that the majority is excreted. New uses are being explored. Researchers are looking at how nanoparticles might bring new benefits to food. For example, added nutrients into food could help us provide better nutrition from processed foods, slow the breakdown of nutrients, and help nutrients be absorbed better. Nano-sized salt and sugar could help make foods healthier. The smaller the particles, the quicker and more easily they can access your taste buds on your tongue, so the less we might need to eat to get that sweet or salty hit. Similarly, using nanoparticles can mean lower levels of additives by helping them mix more easily through the products. And nanoparticles might also be able to extend shelf life of the product, improve safety of foods, and reducing the need for added fats. Testing for toxicity will be an important part of bringing these new technologies to the market. But all in all, we have been eating nanoparticles naturally occurring and in additives for a long time with no evidence of harm. I don't believe that this article is good, I'm sorry to say. They touched on nanoparticles trying to influence us as to there only being benefits to this. I believe this should have gone into more of the additives, chemical additives and preservatives and other materials, ingredients in the products that we have every day that we find in supermarkets for the longevity of their shelf life, and these additives are definitely detrimental to our health. But that's my opinion. Now, just quickly, I tried to summarize, find out what other nanoparticles are in foods, and these are it. Silver nanoparticles, used in a variety of applications within the food industry. Zinc oxide, iron oxide nanoparticles. We talked about titanium dioxide, silicon dioxide nanoparticles, and lipid nanoparticles, protein nanoparticles, and there are more items. And just going into the zinc dioxide, for example, this is on Nature. There's an article on Nature having to do with these nanoparticles. Zinc oxide. They say that in principle, nanoparticles in packaging may leach into food products and therefore be ingested as part of the human diet. But recent risk assets suggest that this does not occur to an appreciable level. An antimicrobial activity of zinc oxide nanoparticles have been partly attributed to their ability to penetrate into microbial cells and generate ROS that damage key cellular components, thereby leading to cytotoxicity. This mechanism could lead to adverse health effects in humans if this type of nanoparticle were ingested in sufficient quantities and then absorbed by the human body. So you can understand how even in the packaging, it's not just ingredients in food, but also the food packaging that has nanoparticles that leach into the food, detrimental for our health. So these two ladies, professors, should have perhaps gone into more aspects that are negative negative to our health concerning these nanoparticles. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.